So 2023 is coming upon us, guys, and I watched a lot of movies this year, but not as much as I wanted to. And I know over the last couple of weeks and months, my channel hasn't been really focused on movie content as of late, but I'm going to be returning to my passion, that is movie talk. I love talking about movies, I love talking about film, but I do see the numbers, you know, I'm not crazy. And I see that me talking about movie series and giving my recaps and stuff draws a lot of people's attention. So I'm still going to be doing that kind of content, but I'm going to also be going back to my movie reviews and movie discussion type of videos because, like I said, that's what I like to do the most. So with that being said, let's just talk about 2023 and my most anticipated films of the new year. First up is Megan. If you've seen the trailer to this, you know it's a killer doll. Looks kind of crazy. It's up my alley. I really like this kind of stuff. And we have producer James Wan in here. It's Blumhouse. You know it's going to be crazy. It looks like it's going to be more Malignant than it is Conjuring films, and I like both of those series, but I do like the campy horror that James Wan has been leaning into as of late. Like I said, Malignant, I know it was divisive when it first came out, but that second half of that film, chef's kiss, man. It's so good. But Megan looks no different, and they pretty much are not hiding the fact that this is going to be camp, and the trailer, if anything, I mean, you know what you're in for. Knock at the Cabin. This is M. Night Shyamalan's next film. I know that M. Night Shyamalan has been on a downward spiral, to say the least, but I still think that he is such a big name and has, you know, there's something about him. I don't know if it was because I grew up with M. Night Shyamalan movies as a kid, you know, The Village, Signs, Lady in the Water. You say what you will about those films. I grew up really liking those films and liking his film and his storytelling. But even I do admit that his last couple of films, particularly Old, yeah, that was that was something. But like I said, M. Night is just that kind of director where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna give you another chance, even though you have done me sturdy the last 10 times. I still want to see what you got because the potential is so there. Winnie the Pooh, the horror movie, Blood and Honey. Okay, I don't think this movie's gonna be good. But why am I anticipating it? Why do you like it? I mean, it's Winnie the Pooh killing people. I mean, what's not to be anticipated for? But like I said, I don't think this movie is going to be good at all. I just want to see it for the lulz. And apparently they're going to continue this trend with taking our, you know, childhood animated properties and making them into horror films. This year we got The Grinch in a horror film called The Mean One, played by the same guy that did Art the Clown. So yeah, I guess we're getting more of that. Apparently we're getting a Peter Pan horror film, we're getting a Bambi one. It's crazy, okay? And then Winnie the Pooh and Piglet doing some crazy stuff, slasher. Just give it to me. Ant-Man 3 Quantumanium. I'm like probably the only big fan of the Ant-Man film. Apparently, if you look at like all the box office, the Ant-Man films are on the lower tier of like the amount of money a Marvel film makes. Paul Rudd is fantastic as Ant-Man, and I think his character and his arc in the MCU is pretty unique. I mean, he kind of avoided the snap because he was in a different multiverse, and then when he came back, everything was changed. He didn't even know. He didn't age. Everybody else all around him aged. I think his story is really, really fascinating. It looks like it's coming to a culmination in this next film, and it just looks so cool. Cocaine Bear, you know, this is apparently based off of a true story, and I think the extent where the true story ends is a bear ate cocaine and that's the end of the story. But they made it into a feature film, and these are the kind of films that I love. You know, I'm not here to talk about like who's going to win the Oscars, who should win the Oscars. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I'm not really the award season kind of movie talker. I like this crazy stuff. I like this weird shit. You know, I like all this Cocaine Bear, Winnie the Pooh killing people. That's the kind of stuff that I go for when I'm looking for a film. So if we got a bear that's high on cocaine eating people, you got me to buy a ticket. Creed 3. Now, admittedly, I haven't watched any of the Creed films, but every time I see a trailer to them over the years, I'm like, dang, that looks pretty good. I probably should watch it. Never watched it. But this third film, I think I might finally just sit down and watch the first two just to get ready. I watched Rocky, just the first one. I haven't gone out to, you know, watch the other Rocky films. I heard they're pretty good. I really don't have no interest into them. The only reason why I watched the first Rocky film was because it was homework in my film class. that was it. But like I said, the Creed films are a little bit more my style. They look like, you know, a little updated version of Rocky. So I'm definitely gonna go check it out. And this third trailer has really got me on the hype train. Scream 6. Now, if you were on my channel during the time when I reviewed Scream 5, or Scream as they're calling it, now they call it Scream 6. You know, before they didn't want to call it Scream 5, now they're calling this one Scream 6. I don't know. But if you were here on my channel, you know my thoughts on that movie. I thought I was kind of mixed. I was kind of like, it's all right and everything. I didn't think it was over the top. I thought some of the newer characters were terrible, but hopefully this one will be a redeeming factor for those characters, and we'll see a little bit more of their character development. Who knows? You know, it's Scream. I'm always there for more Scream stuff. The fact that they're on Scream 6 is kind of funny to me because they always made fun of that in the franchise itself with their version of the Scream series, which was like the slasher movies, and there's like slasher 18 they were on by the time we got to the 5th film. So I'm all for this to see where the story of Ghostface ends up. It's kind of sad that we don't have Neve Campbell in this one because of all the little stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. They were trying to bring her back, but they didn't offer her enough money, which is kind of weird because she's freaking Neve Campbell. She's freaking Sydney. Like, I don't know why don't you just give her all the money that she wants? It's kind of crazy. John Wick Chapter 4. I didn't think we were going to get to this level of having 4 John Wick movies, but hey, people like old Keanu Reeves hobbling around with a gun and shooting people, which is fine to me. You know, I've talked to some people where they're like, he's too old and he's hobbling, he looks kind of rough. That's the point. Now this one's a tricky one. I'm anticipated to see this film because I have a nostalgia for an old film with the same name, Dungeons and Dragons, with the Wayans brother. And yeah, I remember watching the old Dungeons and Dragons movie, and that was like really, really bad. But it became a cult classic of how like it's so good it's bad. Maybe it's not so good it's bad. I think it's just bad. But this new film looks really, really good. It kind of reminds me of like the Ex Machina like kind of show, or the new Dragon Age show that you should watch. You should definitely watch that show. But it's kind of in that same vein and the style. I mean, you got Michelle Rodriguez as like the freaking barbarian in here. I'm sold on that alone. But you have Chris Pine being like the leader of the group, and it just looks fun. It just looks fun. It looks like a fun blockbuster movie that I really like. Then we have the Super Mario Brothers, which is divisive because people hate the voices of the characters in here, but I don't care. So the characters suck. The animation looks amazingly beautiful. I love Illumination, what they have done. You know, if you watch the Despicable Me movies, those ones are really immaculate. But I think this one's on a whole nother level. I mean, they kind of had to do it, right? It's Super Mario. They had to do it. But the last trailer that we got, it looked really, really fun. It looks like they're going to be incorporating a whole bunch of Easter eggs from different Mario, like, journeys. You know, we got Mario Kart. We got Super Mario 3. There's a whole bunch. Luigi's Mansion. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. This is going to be special, I think. This is going to be pretty good. Now, a movie that we don't know that much about other than it's called Renfield. It's about Nicolas Cage being Dracula. That's all I got to say, okay? We don't have a trailer for this one as of recording of this video. But like I said, Nicolas Cage playing a vampire, playing Dracula in a horror comedy. Just let that sink in. Let that sink in. Another film that doesn't have a trailer as of recording this video, but that is Evil Dead Rise. And I don't care if they don't have a trailer or not. I love this franchise. I love everything involving Evil Dead. Give it to me. I love the remake of Evil Dead that came out in 2016, 18, around there. That one is amazing. And I think that, you know, this requel, if you will, you know, to take the term from Scream 5, the requel here, I like the fact that horror is getting that, you know, like how they're rebooting the franchise, but at the same time not throwing away what the past had. You know, we're incorporating that, we're embracing it, we're embracing all the craziness, but we're starting a new journey, and I like that. So I really can't wait for that trailer for this movie because I mean, I need more Evil Dead. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I know we already talked about Ant-Man 3, but we're doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I think this phase 5 of the MCU is going to be the level that everybody expected. I know a lot of people talk about that MCU phase 4 was mad, but that was a, you know, rebuilding phase. You know, if you watch sports, you know that there's a time to rebuild the team, the championship team that you've had over the years. You know, it's done. All of them are old. They're dead. Well, in this case, yeah, they're dead. They've gone, they retired, and we need to rebuild the Avengers. So phase 4 was the rebuilding phase that I thought. I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. But this one, phase 5, this is where we're getting the heavy hitters. We're probably going to get an Avengers movie in this phase. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, man. It looks sad. I think somebody's going to die. One person or more. That Rocket Raccoon hugging that otter. The tears are coming already. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I am anticipated this film. I got too late to the game with the Miles Morales animated Sony Spider-Man thing. I didn't watch it until later on the year that it came out. I really enjoyed it. I love the story of Miles Morales. Even though they changed it in this iteration, I still like the overall package that we got. This one, I'm anticipating this one. I liked it. Like I said, I liked it. But I still have some reservations for this one. Just a little bit, just a little tiny bit, just the trailer that we saw. Granted, it's the first one. I have a feeling about this one. Like I said, I'm excited to watch it, but there's something in the back of my mind. I have a feeling that it's not going to work out, or something weird's going to happen, or I don't know. But more Spider-Man for me is always a good thing. Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Now, you know how we talked about a lot of stuff, how I love Evil Dead, how I love Spider-Man, how I love the MCU. Okay, another thing that's really close to my heart is Beast Wars. And I grew up watching Fox Kids, and Beast Wars was on there. I watched every episode of Beast Wars. Do I remember every episode? Probably not. But I definitely need to buy the Blu-ray, the DVD, whatever, and rewatch them. But guys, they're finally doing Beast Wars on the big screen, and it looks so good. It looks so good. And I haven't watched a Transformers film since Transformers 3. And that's probably a bad note to end on. But I'm excited for Transformers again. I never thought the day would come where I would be excited for another Transformers thing. And then every year when I go to Universal Studios Hollywood and I look at the Transformers ride and I say, why are you here? Nobody cares about Transformers. Then they drop this Transformers Rise of the Beast trailer and I'm like, give me all the Beast Wars. Now, this film, I'm not really anticipating because I'm excited to see the film. I'm anticipating because this is going to be a spectacle. This is going down in the history of movie-ness for a long time, because the DCEU or DCU whole timeline, whole creation is amazing. And now The Flash is coming, and I can't believe this movie's still happening. But it's the movie that they need to do to explain the reset and explain the reason why Henry Cavill isn't going to be Superman anymore. It's crazy. This last year of the DC movies are going to be very, very interesting. And like I said, The Flash in particular, Ezra Miller is a weird person that needs help. I hope he's getting help. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting movie to say the least. Next on the list is another Pixar film. And I feel like we've been getting almost tiny bit oversaturated with Pixar-ness. I feel like there's a Pixar movie every year. When back in the day, when I was growing up, back in the day, there was a Pixar movie every couple of years, and they were a spectacle. Everybody was rushing to the theaters to see the latest Pixar film. But I think recently Pixar has gone, not downhill, I wouldn't say. There's still good films like Soul, Turning Red is really, really good. But nowadays people are just like realizing that Pixar movies have meanings and have like deeper concepts. So they get either labeled as woke or pushing an agenda. Whatever. Just enjoy the movie. It's a movie about a kid turning into a freaking red panda. Let's track it back here. Let's get back here. Elemental. This looks really, really cool. It reminds me of the Disney short called Paperman. I really love that short. The music in that one is great. But this one looks like it's pretty much that, but just you change the characters and make them elementals. It's going to be a love story. If you're not into that, I'm not personally into that much, but it's Pixar. I gotta show up. I'm in the Pixar cult since I was a kid. Okay, since I saw Toy Story on the big screen. So this one looks interesting. I'm rooting for Pixar all the time, so can't wait for this one. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I know a lot of people are like, I hate the Dial of Destiny. Raiders of the Lost Ark. What? Temple of Doom. They're all cheesy. If you're gonna look at the title, I guess this one's probably the cheesiest. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is probably the coolest title, and that one's arguably the worst movie. But we got Harrison Ford back one more time, apparently, maybe, as Indiana Jones, and the CGI in this one looks kind of rough. But I'm anticipated to see this movie because it's Indiana Jones. I grew up with Indiana Jones, much like a lot of people watching this probably, or alive. They grew up with Indiana Jones. I'm just excited to go into another adventure. Hopefully it turns out good. Hopefully we don't get no swinging through the vines, funky scenes. We'll see. I don't know. But I'm really excited to see this journey with Indiana Jones for the final time, maybe. Margot Robbie looks like Barbie the more I see her. You know, every time she's smiling, I'm like, this is Barbie. Barbie's soulless eyes right here. But yeah, this is going to be a musical, isn't it? It's going to be a musical. It's probably my least favorite genre, but there is a handful of movies that are musicals that I really enjoy. Muppet Treasure Island, Sweeney Todd, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas, of course. There are some musicals out there that I really like, and this one looks like it might be a potential for it to be really good. Even though it's going to be a musical, I'm pretty sure, just by the short teaser that we got recently. And I mean, this looks funny. Looks funny, and I think that's what you need to do with a Barbie movie. You don't need to make it serious. And you guys remember when we were going to have Amy Schumer as Barbie? That was going to be a thing for a while. Next up in the randomness that happens in DC stuff, Blue Beetle. This is actually coming in 2023. We got a poster and everything. I'm surprised this movie's coming out, especially with the new change of leadership that we got in the DC. But I'm excited to see Blue Beetle because I think Blue Beetle is one of those characters that hasn't yet got their due. And I like that, you know, stuff that James Gunn has been recently saying, that they're going to be focusing on lesser known characters. So that makes me hopeful that characters like Blue Beetle, like Static Shock, like the Dark Justice League, they get more of a spotlight. You know, you can have both of these characters. You can have the Trinity and you can have the rest of the characters and lift them up. So I'm really interested. I'm hoping that this movie does good, but you know, it was made during the time that the last DC regime was there. This might be just a thing that they just release and then never talk about it ever again. So, but I'm excited because it's Blue Beetle. I like the character. Let's hope for the best. Now, The Equalizer 3. I didn't know they were doing this, but I was looking at the list of 2023 movies, and this is slated for 2023. It's kind of weird that, you know, the first time that Denzel Washington does a movie that has a sequel, you know, Equalizer 2 was the first time that he's ever done a movie, and that was the sequel. You know, that's kind of weird to think, but that was the first time. And now we're getting a third one. I thought the second Equalizer was all right. It's still a good movie, but it wasn't as good as the first one. And this third one is a reuniting of Dakota Fanning and Denzel Washington. So weird that they're going to be reuniting after all these years. But when you have those two pairings, you know, and an action film, and the last two films of The Equalizer I thought were pretty good, returning, you know, Denzel and the director, I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be fun. But who knows, you know, usually when you get to the third movie of these action films, they turn into movies that are terrible, but I enjoy. So that's why I'm happy. Next film is The Nun 2. Now, I really enjoy the Conjuring universe. I think that it's a whole lot of fun, but even I can say that the last couple of movies in the universe have been pretty terrible. La Llorona, The Nun film, the first one, Annabelle 3, it's really gone downhill. The last Conjuring film, I thought it was okay, but it wasn't up to the standards of the first two Conjuring films. The Nun 2, this is the time for them to rectify what they did with the first film. Now, Valak as a character looks amazing, very terrifying. They did a good job of showing that creepiness in the first Nun, but the story wasn't really good, you know. So hopefully they could do something. Again, I'm rooting for the Conjuring universe. It's my favorite, you know, my second favorite cinematic universe that we got here. And I know that's not saying a lot because, you know, there's only a couple, you know, of cinematic universes going on. But I can't wait for Nun 2. I hope they do this one justice. Let's see. The Expendables 4. They're finally doing this. I mean, all the actors are like 90 years old now, so I don't know how they're going to pull this off. They have to. This has to be the transitioning phase of the old 80s and 90s action heroes to the new age, like the new guard. Okay, we got to do it this time. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that this leads into an all-female Expendables, you know, maybe they do something like that. I know it's been teased for a long time, but I like all three of the Expendable films, even though they're all terrible. They have no story. The villains are very generic, but it's just a nostalgia, you know, explosion. That's what these movies are. That's what Sylvester Stallone, you know, booked this as. It's just nostalgia to the max, and I like it. So if we're gonna have a fourth film with that, bring it on. Now this film that we're gonna be talking about, KRAVEN the Hunter. I can't believe this one's coming out. I can't believe this is a thing. But Sony said, hey, let's take all our Spider-Man villains and make them have solo films. So we got Morbius, and that was a delight. And now we're going to get KRAVEN the Hunter. Okay, I just want to see this because I want to see if it's going to be as bad as Morbius. That's the real reason why I'm excited for this film. The Hunger Games and the Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, I didn't think that they were going to ever make any more Hunger Games films. I'm like one of the biggest Hunger Games fans. I love the Hunger Games. I think that the Hunger Games are amazing. But I'm a little bit apprehensive because this is a prequel. You know, that already gives me my apprehensions a little bit. And we're going to be following freaking Director Snow as a kid and his journey before the freaking Hunger Games movies. And I'm like, kind of thinking, like, dude, the dude is a bad guy for 4 freaking films. Why the hell am I going to be rooting for him? Why do I care about him? You know, what the heck? But I haven't read the Songbirds and Snakes book yet, so I don't know if I like it or not, but we're getting a movie, so I'm definitely going to be reading the book before the movie comes out, and that's a rare thing for me to say because I usually don't care about that stuff. I was like, hey, it's a book first, read it, and I'm like, I don't care. But Hunger Games, I'm going to read the book. I'm going to see. Hopefully this is going to be good, but I don't even care. If I read the book and the book sucks, I'm still gonna go watch the movie because I love Hunger Games. And the last movie that I'm going to be talking about that I'm really anticipated for is Wonka. Now we got young Wonka with the new Gen Z heartthrob, the Dune Kid. I'm not gonna even look up his name during this video. I'm just gonna call him the Dune Kid. But yeah, Charlemagne. I remembered it. I remember Charlemagne. Timothy Charlemagne. That guy, yeah. I mean, he looks like Willy Wonka, so that's a good casting right there. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I've seen a lot of Willy Wonka movies in my lifetime, and that's a weird sentence that I just said. But we're getting another one. We're getting a prequel. So hopefully we get to see the origin of, like, you know, him getting the freaking Oompa Loompas. Yeah, it looks like it could be cool. The stills that we got looks cool. Who knows, okay? Who knows? But guys, that is the end of the video. Let me know what you're anticipating for the next year. Let me know what movies you are anticipating, what TV shows you're anticipating. I might do a video about that of like the TV shows that I'm anticipating for 2023. I'm not really sure yet, but 2023 is going to be a crazy year. I got a lot of stuff happening. You know, I'm changing a new job. This YouTube isn't my job, even though I got monetized. It's not a job. It's not a job yet. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff. I don't know what my schedule is. It's going to be crazy all over the place. So as right now, bear with me, guys. But again, let me know what you guys are anticipating for the year 2023. It's going to be a crazy one. But as always, guys, keep watching movies.